Professor Dr. Nordin Mahmud, Director of the Center of Pedagogical Research and Innovation, Universiti Pendidikan Sultan Idris. Yang Berusaha Associate Professor, Technologist Dr. Wan Zuhainis Saad, Director of the Center for Academic Development and Leadership Excellence, CADe-Lead, Universiti Putra Malaysia. Yang Berbahagia Professor Dr. Marilyn Yu Balagtas, Vice President for the Academics, Filipino University of the Philippines. Yang Berbahagia Professor Technologist Dr. Nurfadhlina Muhammad Sharef, Chief Digital Officer of InfoComm Development Center, iDEC, Universiti Putra Malaysia. Yang Berbahagia Professor Dr. Alias, Fellow of CADe-Lead UPM. Yang Berbahagia Professor Dr. Jintavi Klaisang, Director of the Thailand Cyber University Project, Ministry of Higher Education, Science, Research and Innovation of Thailand. All distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to ASHELF 2025 Teaching and Learning Cluster. To seek blessings for our program this afternoon, let us begin with the recitation of Surah Al-Fatiha. Al-Fatiha. Ladies and gentlemen, this year's cluster carries the theme Adaptive Learning and Values-Based Education, Shaping the Next-Gen Higher Education. We are gathered here as educators, leaders, and researchers from across ASEAN to explore how our universities can design AI-resilient assessment systems and nurture compassionate, values-guided learning environments. Over the course of our sessions, you will hear perspectives and practices that speak to the future of our teaching in our region, balancing innovation with empathy and technology with humanity. The outcomes of today's deliberations will feed into the ASHELF joint statement, informing collaborative policy directions and capacity building efforts across ASEAN. Once again, thank you for being here. We look forward to a productive and inspiring afternoon. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to invite our moderator, Yang Berusaha Associate Professor, Technologist Dr. Wan Zuhainis Saad, Director of CADe-Lead, Universiti Putra Malaysia. Associate Professor Wan Zuhainis is a recognized advocate of teaching innovation whose work has helped shape adaptive, values-focused educational practices across ASEAN. Her leadership continues to guide many towards transformative academic excellence. With me, please join me in welcoming Associate Professor, Technologist Dr. Wan Zuhainis Saad to lead the session.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good afternoon. Yang Berbahagia Professor Ibrahim Abdalib, Deputy Vice Chancellor of Academy and International, Universiti Putra Malaysia, Prof. Nordin Mahmud, Director for Center for Pedagogical Research and Innovation, UPSI, our distinguished speakers, and our participants coming from all over Malaysia and ASEAN countries. Thank you very much for being here this afternoon. I was informed that we have to reject, or not sort of reject, we have to redirect many participants who wanted to join us this afternoon. I'm honored and humbled to be here with our distinguished speakers to discuss about the theme for this cluster on teaching and learning is adaptive learning and values-based education, shaping the next-gen higher education. I would like to welcome everyone to this teaching and learning cluster, where our mission is to equip ASEAN educators for the future. That's why we choose the adaptive learning and values-based education, the next-gen higher education. And I would like to also share the output for today's discussion there will be 2 strategic focus area that will be on the AI resilient alternative assessment. This will include designing the authentic assessment that maintain the integrity in the age of the Gen AI, and now we even have what we call the agentic AI. And based on our theme, the compassionate pedagogy for values-based education, nurturing inclusive humanity-centric learning environment. This is also aligned with our Malaysian Higher Education Blueprint 2026-2035, where the first shift is on adaptive, humanity-centric, adaptive, and entrepreneurial learners. This cluster is, I'm leading the cluster for teaching and learning, and Prof. Nordin is the person in charge from UTI, the co-organizer for this event. Prof. Nordin, thank you for managing us in the preparation. So this morning, we heard the keynote from the SecGen of ASEAN, and we can, Dr. Kao mentioned about how we should focusing on lifelong learning. That is also part of our discussion today. And this afternoon, you are all in this cluster, and we will continue tomorrow for the discussion until the end of noon for this event. Okay, so I would like, without further ado, I would like to introduce our distinguished speakers. Professor Dr. Marilyn Yu Balaktas, from the Vice President for Academics Philippines, Normal University Philippines. She will be talking on the evolving landscape of higher education towards values-based education and adaptive learning. I think I will just, is it okay if I introduce all the distinguished speakers first? Okay, and then we call one by one. Prof, kita tak payah, we chill, okay? Is it okay, people? This is teaching and learning 21st century, kan? So, chill a bit, okay? Cannot be too protocol. Is it okay? Okay. All right. So, Prof. Marilyn is now the Vice President for Academic Philippine Normal Universities. And she's the founding president of the PATEF United Professional for the Development and Advancement of Education, called UPDATE. And her expertise is on educational assessment and teacher education, institutional governance, compassionate leadership, and academic quality assurance. So she will start our talk. She will be the first speaker, followed by Professor TS Technologist Dr. Nurfadhlina Muhammad Sharef. Okay, she's the Chief Digital Officer in Universiti Putra Malaysia. And the title of her talk is Reframing Higher Education, Adaptive Intelligence, Ethical Governance, and the Pursuit of Meaning. Her expertise is on AI and data science, ethical governance and AI in education, adaptive learning analytics, interactive machine learning, and digital twins. She will be highlighting on the ASEAN higher education that move beyond technological adoptions towards the humanity-centric higher education. Our third speaker will be Professor Dr. Aziah Alias. She is now the fellow for Center for Academic Development and Leadership Excellence in UPM. She is the former professors in Faculty of Education in University Technology Mara, UITM. She has a background in physics, Ministry of Higher Education Malaysia in National Academic Division, and her interests, if you look at her interests on e-learning, ODL, learning design, instructional technology, and she's the one of the key persons in developing the values-based education framework in Malaysia. Last but not least, our very beautiful Professor Dr. Jintavi from Chulalongkorn University, and also the director for the Thai Cyber University under the Ministry of Higher Education, Science, Research and Innovation in Thailand. She is the title of Prof. Jintavi's talk will be Technology with Heart, Smart to Wise, Digital Transformation for Adaptive and Values-Based Learning. She received National Outstanding Researcher 2023 from the National Research Council of Thailand, involved in 14 international awards, and her expertise is online learning design and virtual learning environment, chatbot-based application for learning, e-portfolio assessment, blended learning, and flipped classroom. So our event approach, okay, we will not having forum, but we will have lightning talk, okay. Each speaker will be given 20 minutes, right? 20 minutes of presentation. There will be no Q&A to the speakers, okay? Because our time is very limited. If you look at the schedule just now, we have until, it's written there 5 o'clock, but I would like to ask from all of you to extend it to 5:30. And we have only until this evening 5:30, and tomorrow from 9 to 10:15. Okay, so we want to really make use of the time of our speakers here. So immediately after the lightning talk, we will have a roundtable discussion. How are we going to do it? I will explain to you later after the talk. Okay. I would like also to take this opportunity to welcome our members whom we met in Prince Sokla University under the Alliance, what we call as the ASEAN Learning Innovation and Excellence Alliance. Thank you very much for accepting. We have from Thailand, Indonesia, and also Philippines and Singapore. Okay, so without further ado, I would like kindly, respectfully invite Prof. Marilyn to her first talk.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saad, for that very generous introduction. Honorable leaders, distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, fellow advocates of higher education excellence, a wonderful summit to one and all. It is a profound privilege to be here in Malaysia, a nation I first landed outside the Philippines 30 years ago, that is known not only for its vibrant diversity, but also for its deep commitment to education as a foundation of unity, progress, and peace. Thank you to the Ministry of Higher Education Malaysia and to the University Pendidikan Sultan Idris for organizing this event. My gratitude particularly to Professor Dr. Nordin bin Mamat, the Director of Pedagogical Research and Innovation, for the invitation to be one of the speakers of this summit, and to Dr. Sasi Garan Moniam, who facilitated my safe arrival here in Malaysia and in this convention hall, and to our moderator, Dr. Saad from Universiti Putra Malaysia, for leading and coordinating all the activities of us speakers. It is my distinct honor to address the very architects of our future, the individuals who guide the single most important long-term investment any society can make, and that is education. Particularly, the future of higher education brought us all here today. a collective belief that higher education's highest calling isn't just producing graduates, but cultivating human beings who will lead with integrity, serve with compassion, and think with wisdom. Please allow me to share the pivotal insights and emerging frontiers explored within the Teaching and Learning Center in this ASEAN Summit on Higher Education Leadership 2025. This talk centers on 4 guide questions. Who are the next generation learners in higher education? That's just like telling us what the situation is. How do they prefer to learn? So that's like opening the challenge to us. What education is best for them? A proposed solution. And how do we prepare higher education for them? Our proposed action. Let me talk about the first question. Who are the next generation learners in higher education? Today's higher education learners are the true digital natives. They are called the Gen Z. They grew up with the internet, mobile phones, and social media. They navigate multiple digital platforms with ease, shifting seamlessly between academic content, social media, and experiential learning spaces. They move effortlessly between real world and virtual world, viewing them not as separate realities, but as complementary spaces for learning and living. Following the Gen Z is the Generation Alpha, who are the first AI native generation, immersed in smart devices and gamified digital ecosystems from birth. Whether Gen Z or Generation Alpha, the new generation learners share several key characteristics that influence modern education. These characteristics include digital proficiency. They are extremely comfortable with technology, viewing it as a seamless, omnipresent tool for communication, entertainment, and learning. Preference for active learning. They favor hands-on experiences, collaboration, small group discussions, and applied learning over traditional lectures. Need for personalization. They reject a one-size-fits-all approach, preferring education that is tailored to their individual needs, skills, and interests. Visual and mobile. They are highly receptive to visual content, like videos and graphics, and expect to learn on the go using mobile devices. Global perspective. They are the most diverse and globally connected generations, often concerned with social issues and seeking learning that is relevant to the real world. Desire for feedback and ownership. They are accustomed to frequent, immediate feedback and are motivated to take responsibility of their educational paths. Let me talk about the second question. How do the next generation learners want to learn? Sorry. There are 2 major ways of learning the NGL prefer. NGL for new generation learners. And these are technology-driven learning and student-centered learning. What are these technology-driven pedagogies? These strategies include micro-learning that breaks down lessons into short, focused, digestible content. This caters to shorter attention spans and the preference for quick visual information consumption. Gamification that requires integrating game elements into non-game contexts. This strategy appeals to their ingrained comfort with gaming ecosystems and provides the immediate positive feedback they crave. blended or hybrid learning that combines traditional face-to-face instruction with technology-mediated online learning activities. This strategy offers the flexibility and self-pacing they expect from digital tools while retaining the social and collaborative benefits of the physical classroom. Lastly, immersive technology that uses augmented reality and virtual reality for simulations, virtual field trips, and hands-on demonstrations. This strategy provides the highly visual, interactive, and experiential learning environments that resonate with these digital natives. The following student learning strategies work for NGL. Project-based learning. NGLs highly value working collaboratively over an extended period to investigate and respond to a complex question, problem, or challenge. Personalized and adaptive learning. NGLs appreciate using data and AI-powered platforms to tailor the pace, content, and sequence of instruction to address their specific needs, skills, and interests. It addresses their desire for individual ownership over their education and ensures the content is challenging but not overwhelming. Learner agency and choice. NGLs want autonomy in their choice from a menu of assignments, topics, or assessment methods. They prefer independence, responsibility, and investment in the learning process by allowing for self-expression. And lastly, competency-based education. NGLs prefer learning that progresses based on their demonstrated mastery of skills and knowledge, not on the amount of time spent in the classroom. The proposed approach is a holistic learning that combines adaptive learning as a way to gaining competence and values-based education as a way to gain the desired character to forge a balance between digital and moral education. Adaptive learning gives the graduate the how, the personalized skill, the technical excellence, the fluid ability to adapt to a changing job market. On the other hand, values-based education gives the graduate the why, the moral compass, the sense of purpose, the direction to use the power for collective good. The goal is not just an employable worker. The goal is a responsible citizen, a resilient leader, and an ethical innovator. In this proposed solution for educating our next generation learners, we integrate the following essential 21st century skills to prepare them for a rapidly changing AI-driven job market. First, critical thinking and media literacy. We need to teach NGLs how to evaluate the vast amounts of information they encounter online and distinguish credible sources from misinformation or disinformation or fake news. Coding and AI literacy. We need to integrate the fundamentals of computer science and understanding how AI works, as they will be the first truly AI native workforce. Next, social or emotional learning, or SEL. We need to explicitly cultivate skills like empathy, compassion, self-management, responsible decision-making, and coping mechanisms to address the challenges of growing up in a hyper-connected, often stressful digital world. Digital citizenship. We need to provide clear instruction on responsible online behavior, cyber ethics, and online safety. What exactly is adaptive learning and why is it important for the new generation learners? Adaptive learning is a sophisticated technology and data-driven methodology that uses AI and data analytics to analyze a student's performance, confidence, and prior knowledge in real time. It automatically adjusts the content, sequence, and pace of instruction in real time based on the student's performance. Imagine a system that does not simply assign a standard textbook, but dynamically curates a learning pathway for every single student. It identifies exactly where students excel, accelerate them past what they already know, and crucially, pinpoints where they struggle and delivers targeted intervention, whether that is a micro lecture, a practice problem, or a direct link to a mentor. It means moving away from the industrial age rhythm of semesters and cohorts towards a personalized, continuous flow where the pace is variable, but the outcome, verifiable mastery, is constant. Personalized adaptive learning is fundamentally changing the learning experience from a one-size-fits-all model to one that treats each student like a unique individual. The following are the different approaches, highly effective because they mirror the personalized digital experiences that NGLs are accustomed to. Instant feedback. Adaptive systems provide immediate, targeted feedback and hints upon answering a question, correcting misconception before they become ingrained. Individual pace. Students can move faster through concepts they grasp quickly or spend extra time on difficult topics without feeling rushed or embarrassed. Autonomy and control. Personalized learning allows students to choose topics, project formats, and set their own learning goals, fostering ownership and accountability. Guaranteed efficiency. Adaptive algorithms skip content a student has already mastered and provide extra practice only on areas of weakness, making learning highly efficient and preventing boredom. And last, assured relevance. Personalized learning links academic content to the student's personal interests and real-world career goals, making the material feel immediately meaningful and practical. An equally critical pillar of holistic education address this concern for preserving the very soul of education, the values-based education, or VBE, a transformative approach to learning that places human values at the center of education. We must ensure our graduates are not just capable of building powerful technology, but capable of governing it responsibly. VBE is not a standalone philosophy. Excuse me. It's not a standalone philosophy course tacked onto the end of a degree. It must be permeable membrane that governs the entire university experience. There are 4 essential and enduring values that we must deliberately cultivate in higher education. First, the integrity and accountability. Because ethical lapses in AI or bioengineering can have global consequences. Empathy and compassion, because complex global problems require multilateral solutions rooted in understanding others. Resilience and intellectual humility, because continuous learning and adoption require the willingness to admit one is wrong and persist after failure. And global and environmental citizenship, because our shared planet demands responsible stewards. We must integrate these enduring values into the DNA of the institution using the synergy of curriculum integration, meaning ethics, for example, is not treated as a single course, but contextualized and assessed in every discipline. And experiential learning, where ethics is put in real-world engagement and reflection through community engagement, service learning, and reflective practice. So it would result in applied ethical knowledge that bridges between knowing what is right and doing what is right, especially when faced with complex professional or societal dilemmas and decision making. How is value-based education practiced in the Philippines? The Philippines has recognized values-based education since 1988. Values education program has been the central thrust of the national curriculum. This commitment to values education was strengthened in 1994 when a presidential proclamation, and that's number 479, declared November this month as Filipino Values Month, urging every Filipino to live out our shared ideals in the pursuit of a just, humane, and democratic society. Then in 2020, Republic Act number 11476 titled GMRC, or Good Manners and Right Conduct and Values Education Act, mandated the foundation of values-based education in basic and higher education, particularly in teacher education programs in the Philippines. At the foundation of the values education program are the four core values that define the Filipino identity. First is makadiyos, or faith in God, rooted in spirituality and moral integrity. This value reminds us that all learning must be grounded in truth, humility, and gratitude. It calls on us to seek meaning beyond material success and to align wisdom with divine purpose. Makatao, or humanity. This value embodies respect, empathy, and love for others. It compels us to create learning environments that are inclusive and compassionate, where dignity is upheld and every voice is valued. Makakalikasan, or love for the environment. This reminds us of our responsibility as stewards of creation. In the context of higher education, it aligns seamlessly with our commitment to sustainability and the ethical use of science and technology. Fourth, makabansa, or patriotism. This instills pride in our identity and the sense of duty to contribute to the nation's growth. It inspires graduates not only to succeed globally, but also to serve locally, to use knowledge in building a just, humane, and progressive Philippines. There is also an executive order, and that's in September 2006, an executive order 570, mandating that integration of peace education into the nation's basic education and teacher education curriculum. The directive seeks to nurture a culture of peace and non-violence in the country through education, ensuring that students and educators alike are equipped with the values, knowledge, and skills to resolve conflicts peacefully and build harmonious communities. How is values-based education practiced in higher education in the Philippines? Every higher education institution in the Philippines, maybe similar here in Malaysia, has core values to uphold. Hence, the inclusion of values-based education in higher education. In the context of the Philippine Normal University, so that's my university, the Philippines National Center for Teacher Education, under Republic Act 9647 of 2009, the university upholds the values of truth, excellence, and service. And I hope you could see those in the logo. These values are conveyed in university signages and in its seal or logo. The open book in our logo represents learning, scholarship, and pursuit of truth. The laurel wreath represents honor, excellence, and service to the Filipino nation and the world. The torch represents wisdom and enlightenment, and the light for the service of the true generation. These three core values are integrated in all curricular programs and affairs of the university to produce future-ready teacher education graduate who must be able to demonstrate 5D. So this is what we mean by being a future-ready graduate. First is digitally literate, and data-driven decision-making. So those different colors around that framework are the 5Ds I'm referring to. So second is the deeply rooted global citizen, design thinker and innovator, dynamic lifelong learner and leader, and discerning and compassionate person. In PNU, aside from the integration of the core values in all its program offerings, it also offers a bachelor's degree program in secondary education with specialization in values education, and also a master's program in values education. Finally, we answer the fourth question. How do we prepare higher education for the NGLs? We need to transform a fixed curriculum to an adaptive, values-based education. And for this to work, we may do the following actions. First, re-engineer qualifications framework to assess character. Review and update our national and regional standards to explicitly include and assess core character competencies, such as ethical reasoning, teamwork, compassion, and social responsibility, not just as soft skills, but as measurable, non-negotiable professional attributes. Second, mandate training on national values and adaptive pedagogy. Commissioners or ministries or ministers of education should require all higher education faculty to undergo a certified program focusing on their new role as mentors and learning designers. Their professional evaluation must reflect their ability to use adaptive tools and their success in integrating ethical and values-based discussions into their coursework. And last, establishing funding for the National Adaptive Learning Infrastructure. The government has to commit a dedicated fund to equip our public universities with the secure cloud platforms, AI-driven tools, and data analytics. We must treat educational technology as critical national infrastructure. As higher education leaders, our mission is to ensure that values remain central, even as we embrace adaptive and technology-driven learning. The challenge is not only to prepare students for employability, but to form ethical innovators, graduates who can code with conscience, lead with humility, and advance science with social responsibility. A truly transformative higher education does more than prepare students for the global marketplace. It shapes graduates who embody both excellence and ethics. It forms individuals who are not only globally competitive, but also morally conscious, socially responsive, and spiritually grounded. When adaptive learning converges with values education, we nurture a new generation of learners, those who are not only intelligent, but also intentional. Not only capable, but also compassionate. They are learners who think critically, act ethically, and live purposefully, ready to lead with both mind and heart in a rapidly changing world. Together, as Asian educators, let us lead this transformation in humanizing digital education. For in synergizing adaptive learning and values-based education, we forge not only the future of higher education, but also the future of a wiser, kinder, and more humane and compassionate world. As Sir Ken Robinson, education reform advocate reminds us, education needs to be personalized to the student, not standardized to the system. Adaptive learning gives us the tools to make this vision real, but values-based education ensures we use those tools for the right purpose. Terima kasih banyak. Thank you very much. May our collaboration continue to build a future of learning that is both adaptive and humane. And finally, I need to disclose. I have an AI disclosure, a declaration. Yes, I need to show that. The author acknowledges the use of Gemini and ChatGPT in preparing some content of the talk, enhancing my talk, and use ChatGPT for some photos and napkin AI, you know, those beautiful graphics. I did those when I learned that AI, so I was so excited. So I did those using napkin and AI for the graphic presentation. The author is responsible in the validation of the content of the material. She confirms integration of her own ideas based on her own outline, research, and say 36 years of experience in the academy. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Prof. Marilyn. So later we'll have quizzes on the terms frequently used in the talk, right? So the few terms that we have been using a lot, so personalized learning, individualized or customizable, all those things, and of course, very inspiring talk, Prof. Marilyn. This is also in line with our values-based education in framework in Malaysia. Rukun negara, faith in God, kepercayaan kepada Tuhan, for example. Okay, so Muhammad Sharef for her talk.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera and a very good afternoon to all. I'm honored to be here and really excited actually. I hope I won't go to express to whatever. I am honored to join all of you distinguished guests and colleagues and friends for this important occasion. With respect to the earlier salutations, allow me to begin acknowledging the tremendous spirit of educators gathered here today. So across ASEAN, we share a common hope that education not only adapts to technology, but guides technology toward humanity. In my talk today, I will reflect that shared hope, hopefully, on how adaptive learning, value-based education, and AI governance can move together to empower our students for both the digital and moral future. And as someone who stands at the intersection of technology and education, I believe our task today is not just to adapt AI, but to ensure it adapts to our values, our learners, and our shared purpose. Allow me to begin. Let us begin by this. This is actually taken from one of the documents prepared by ASEAN, talking about the internet penetration rate. which is a key driver of digital transformation, and this averages at 76.03% across ASEAN. So this is maybe not a surprising fact to you, but this is the beginning of all the other things that I'll present in my talk today. This internet penetration rate, which tells that there is still disparities persist in digital skills, infrastructure, and values integration. If we look at this document, this is actually taken from one of the ASEAN courses that I took proudly. I somehow discovered while doing my homework for this talk, I discovered about ASEAN digital platform. There are many courses available online freely, guys. So please take part. It is quite easy. In that slide, I found about these online activities across Southeast Asia. So we can see that the highest percentage of how people spend time online is indeed on watching videos and relaxing in social media. Is this familiar? TikToking or maybe Netflix? Okay. But remember, this connectivity, we are somehow now connected, but this connectivity must evolve into coherence. Well, I think you can read. Well, everybody know that this is an apple. But nowadays, this notion, what we see, should now be able to be described whether whatever that is being stated online is either a fact, an opinion, a disinformation, a misinformation, or could also be a fake news. Surprisingly. So if we see now, so what now we need to do as the educator and also as the perspective of a student? We have to have this ability to combat this misinformation and to know when there are some sources, what is the origin, the date, the source, the location, and the objective. Because all this will relate to our digital print and the digital presence. All of this mainly because I discovered this was actually the first document that I found in my homework preparing for the slide. And you can easily go there and find this digital literacy and transformation in ASEAN is a call for education policy reforms. And this is how I'm going to begin the talk today. In this document, there are already several. Is it because I clicked this? Try again. It's not working. Okay, so here, fake news and fake sound just to warm up. Okay, so from this document, there are several things being listed already that we should spearhead the digital literacy initiatives, enhance the investment in accessible lifelong learning programs. So there will be some surprises here. Embark on education and curriculum reform. I trust that all nations have already started this. And develop sustainable opportunities for students across ASEAN member states by providing relevant internships. So luckily, all of this really happened. Just now, Prof. Marilyn has wonderfully and awesomely explained about the characteristics of next generation learners, the NGL. Allow me to at least try to twist it a bit. From this figure, we can see that this is an example of students of the future, that they will actually live and now already living in two worlds, the world of human pedagogy and the world of algorithmic intelligence. And adaptive learning is the bridge between them. Adaptive learning is the bridge between human pedagogy and the world of algorithmic intelligence. Adaptive learning targets learner diversity and pace. We know this from the personalized learning. Yet, values-based education needs to be there to ensure ethics, dignity, and inclusion in guiding the tech. Because we trust that adaptive learning can build job-relevant skills faster for them to be able to survive and be resilient in many kinds of future. And the values grounded in them will make them able to navigate the world with responsibility and trust. Yet, my argument is this: ASEAN's progress is real and measurable, but these gaps somehow show why digital readiness is not yet digital coherence. We are already connected, but we are not digitally coherent yet. We use digital but not yet adaptive. We are efficient but not yet empathetic. We have been adaptive in our teaching. This is not new. I would say this is not new. Many of us may think that we already done it, but we did it with intuition. Intuition. It is still not systematized within our practice. So we now must make sure that the systems that is there as our tool to be adaptive, our policies coherent, and our values visible. Now, ASEAN has built the digital highway, but the traffic is still disconnected. Each of us is going in our own way. Somehow we are still fragmented, especially the data and the systems. We still have uneven AI literacy. Our policies are still not operationalized. We still mainly focus on infrastructure over human capability, and there is still limited values integration in governance. So what we need to do is to bridge them, and this means investing not only in technology, but an alignment in policy, practice, and purpose. So what is meant by digital coherence? Digital coherence. We are already digitally connected, but how to be digitally coherent? It means that at ASEAN or national level, we need to be able to have policies, strategies, and frameworks across ministries and sectors that speak the same language, avoiding fragmentation and duplication. At institutional level, there should be integration between systems, data, and governance models, not just having digital tools, but ensuring they are interoperable, ethical, and purposeful. And at the learning and teaching level, the pedagogy, technology, and assessment are aligned to promote learning and not just efficiency. Familiar to you? Umbrella Academy? How many have watched this? Hands, please. Spending good time in the internet, in the Netflix. This is the Umbrella Academy, one of the hottest movie in Netflix right now. Umbrella Academy is about a bunch of people with superpowers. ASEAN is like this. ASEAN's university bring different strengths. Each of them have their own historical superpower and continue to have their superpower. But when each of them work in silos, they wouldn't align and they would not necessarily adapt with each other and become a powerful collective. Coming back to the adaptive learning, this is from my class this morning. Indirectly, as an educator, quizzes has now been renamed to Wayground. You notice Wayground. And this is a tool because I'm from the Faculty of Computer Science and Information Technology. I teach data mining. In the course this semester, we conduct a hybrid program where the students have to learn all online. They don't have to come. This is our program innovation. So teaching online asked me to be even more adaptive to their students' needs. There are 54 students in my class from various backgrounds. So I need to use analytics like this to let me know how to adapt. And in this kind of visual, I know for each of the questions, what are the students' attainment. But this is coincidental because I know of this tool, and in this tool there is such function. So what we need to do? Universities need to pair adaptive learning with values-based governance. This governance is the part that we need to work more on, hopefully. It must be better placed to translate the AI adoption into trusted talent pipelines. The analytics just now is not AI yet. The AI with this adaptive learning is slightly different. I will show you after this. Our goal is to turn readiness into wisdom and from adoption to human-centered adaptivity, because we don't want to end up to just be users. We need to make sure that the system, digital systems around us can be exploited, manipulated, redesigned, co-designed with others to make sure that it helps us to uphold our value. Allow me to offer slightly different view. Just now, Prof. Marilyn have highlighted a bit about algorithmic adaptive algorithms just now. This is a dual view of adaptive learning from the perspective of human-centered pedagogy and machine-centered adaptivity. For human-centered adaptivity, we focus on teaching philosophy and practice, where the emphasis is the educators needs to continuously adjust the learning experience based on the students' evolving needs, prior knowledge, motivation, and context. But adaptive learning algo is maybe not alien to us anymore. The Netflix, guys, that you watch is an example of recommendation system, and that is based on adaptive learning algorithm. It adapts to your needs and interests from time to time. Whatever movie that you put double thumbs up, one thumbs up, you choose not to rate, or you choose that you don't like it. At the back end is adaptive learning algorithms. So the question is, what we need is to have AI-driven adaptive learning. This intersection between the pedagogical lens and the computational lens is what we need. So in my next section of my slide is to tell and offer thoughts on how ASEAN might try to address this. For those of you who might have the chance to search on ASEAN University Network, you might have known about AUNDX, AUNQA with the quality assessment. And these are all for fantastic digital transformation initiatives at ASEAN level. My argument is this: ASEAN is formed to allow the member states to collaborate. We have good progress. There is regional intent strong via AUNQA, CMO, and ASEAN Work Plan, but still there are some remaining gaps and challenges, such as the absence of interoperable regional data and credentialing platforms. Imagine if we can learn in one platform and we go to another platform, what we have learned, because both are still in ASEAN, provided by ASEAN, but different platforms. I'm not yet talking about different countries have their own and not talking to one another. So ASEAN universities are digitally ready but not yet fully digitally coherent, and the policies are visionary yet governance uneven. This is another example. Feel free, just search AI Ready ASEAN. Maybe you will find this platform. Good platform, have a lot of good content as well, and built by several countries. So what could be the next direction? Digital coherence, because we already have digital platform. Adaptive ecosystems inside. Just imagine if there is a platform that can recommend to us what is the next course suitable for us according to our evolving preferences and activities. Wouldn't it be great for lifelong learning and such? And there should be an ethical AI governance inside, values-based learning, and regional credential mobility. Because while ASEAN bodies encourage cooperation, data sharing, and credential recognition still remain siloed. And then the implication is that there could be duplication of effort. Why not we just reuse existing those excellent courses? I was really excited to find those courses, actually, which I can use in my teaching and encourage them to know at least the perspective of people from other countries that teach and learn also data mining. This is their perception. So these are examples of how we can encourage our students to be more internationally literate. The second area, just now I talk about collaboration. The second area that maybe can be worked on by ASEAN is the values integration. The policy language must include ethics and inclusion, because at the moment there are already awareness but still limited operationalization in university strategies or quality assurance frameworks. And most policies still mention ethics, inclusion, and sustainability, but not necessarily in KPIs or quality assurance rubrics. And this brings risk for the universities that want to digitize processes without embedding empathy, responsibility, or integrity. Can I ensure that the laptop won't fall asleep, please? Thank you. There is a sign here saying that the battery is running low. I hope I don't have to do extra show after this singing or whatever. This is a guiding architecture, values integration guiding architecture that I would like to propose, which needs to be consisting of integrity of vision, adaptivity in learning, responsibility in intelligence, to not bring harm, evidence in decision making, must keep all the decisions properly. Nowadays, at many platforms, we just submit our report without proper evidence, without proper auditing, and many times as well, the proof are gone and we have to repeat the process when another people fills in the post. So not good, and must have empathy and engagement. So this values integration is very important, and the guiding architecture hopefully can provide some ideas. Allow me to bring another, maybe a bit different perspective or strategies. 90% of ASEAN member states have national digital education or e-learning policies in place, but still coordination and monitoring mechanisms are uneven and limited inter-agency data sharing. This is an example, 2 platforms provided by ASEAN, one for ASEAN Digital Literacy Platform, another platform for ASEAN AI Skills. Both platforms offer fantastic but diverge infrastructure. So because of this difference in infrastructure, governance, as well as user experience, the outlook is also different. That means very difficult to do mobility, credentialing mobility. So the possible issues are that different systems, and they are in different systems. So users have to navigate using multiple sign-ons, interfaces, and different standards. And there are different curricula, thank you, and perhaps different credentialing method, and possibly inconsistent data reporting and analysis, and duplication of effort. So how could, at the provider level, want to take proper action to uphold this values-based education, to help students and to intervene and to do other adaptive means? So what needs to be done is to consider ASEAN data sharing and interoperability initiatives revisit. These are all the policies available related platform strategy in terms of the unified user experience and access, and analytics and data integration, to make sure that the systems at each whatever level of ASEAN member states would consider going through this criteria. Now let us go slower a bit and come back to the more education world, looking at the higher education role, where right now many universities are, if not using the word competing, maybe I can use the word increasingly trying to get recognition and working out to be digitally transformed, and to actually accelerate this transformation, as well as to come up as the test beds for AI adoption. However, this might result to disparities again. When some universities with stronger people just going to be champions without properly ensuring the ASEAN member states' spirit. And this will widen the innovation divide. For example, in one of these ASEAN platform, this is in one of the course that I have taken. In the course, there is this part where we have for us to interact and understand further about each question. This is fantastic. And hopefully, this can somehow be turned from pilot case to a pilot study to more. Adaptive learning is both mindset and method. Educators must be compassionate. In UPM, we have produced a book about this. In my work, in my class, I usually use challenge-based learning framework for adaptive learning method to engage the student, to let the students to investigate further according to the data available and to act. And this both mindset and method tells that curriculum must evolve. Data must get pedagogy and educators must model lifelong learning and have balance in the rigor and well-being with this empathy. And there are other ingredients as well. Learning analytics, adaptive pathways. Maybe more people would evolve into challenge-based learning adoption and feedback intelligence. In the class, I have asked students in last semester to use dataset regarding ASEAN. And last semester, our theme was on food security. So the students work on food access in ASEAN analytics. And I have one of the assignment is to ask them to put it up in Google Sites, GitHub, and other places. And I use also forum in our Moodle system as an activity to foster responsibility, critical thinking, and learning from one another. But this is yet not adaptive learning much. It is at course level because I know this semester teaching online, this is the number of students, this is students from all this background, this is the approach that I think is best for them. But I'm showing you that still we need to be able to use and explore many kinds of approaches inside Moodle. There is forum, there is workshop inside Moodle that you can explore and use to let students to learn from one another despite learning online fully. And this is the recent activity, data hunting showcase, which I asked them to share and to comment what they found and to comment with each other. And I also used WhatsApp with poll to let them to reflect. What do you think? If you see here, still, some people said confusing. So I asked, may I know why the data hunting diary activity is confusing? This is a way for us to interact. So this is the point where I adapt. And I allow also freedom for the students to choose how they want to be assessed and what data set they want to use. And then tracking the students' participation. This is still not yet being systematized. Many universities still not yet emphasize that analytics needs to be used as a trigger for adaptive learning. Actually, the function is there. For example, to show who has completed what, who has not, how long they have taken, who are the riders, and look at the completion activity and to look at graph like this. And this is from another project that I was working on adaptive learning with AI, where we come out with methods and also prototype system to recommend to the students different content and different questions according to the students' evolving needs as a personalized system. This is from a paper that has really, that has much give me inspiration. I cannot see any existing system being modeled like this. I took this because it is very similar with my project. But in our project, we had come up with a prototype system. This is where it is different. The left-hand side, panel 1 and panel 2, at the top part, assessment marks and assessment marks distribution might be familiar to you. But this system envisions that there is prediction for the students on their completion risk, whether it's high and why it is high, with the key predictive factors, as well as to explain how could the students change their prediction. This is the real adaptive learning algorithm coming in place. At UPM, we are implementing this according to our policy governance. We are coming up with our action plan for AI adaptation, inshallah. And we are going to apply this as well. This is from my project actually, that we need to be able to monitor the performance of the prediction models. Because prediction models needs to be revised from time to time. There should be a monitoring of the performance of the model, and to also see the participations. This is from a publication I had before for UNESCO IIOE, and I've written that recent participations in digital literacy have increased. I think many would agree, and I proudly share that I have completed this course in ASEAN with this support on, what is the course name? Responsible Digital Citizens. Spend time, guys, invest. I took only about less than 1 hour. Okay, this is from me and my friend's work, Dr. Amy, on our work on AI and data science literacy framework. So we, as much as we want to give and conduct activities and training for people, we can also consider having this framework for educators so we know what needs to be there. So my offer is moving forward, ASEAN Next Direction, to be interoperable digitally, to have education data space. My third wish is skills pathway across platform. Wish, measure inclusivity, adaptivity and values-based fund. Would you say Amin? Fund. So with some checklists on vision and governance, human capability, curriculum and pedagogy, collaboration, data infrastructure and impact and reflection, so that we will be a good umbrella academy with this formula, diverse institution but yet unique strength and histories, shared regional mission with alignment, adaptivity and governance and collective success that depends on a coherent ecosystem. With that, I thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Fadhlina, for the list of wish list also. So we need a lot of doa from everybody so that the wish list come true. And yes, we like now to invite Professor Dr. Nur Aziah Alias. On her talk on education with a soul.
Okay. The podium has never been Nur Aziah friendly. Okay.
We don't have
All right. Okay, kenapa gerak? Okay, so sini Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, I need the mic. Okay. It's okay. I think I can manage. Thank you for the opportunity, Prof. TNCA, Prof. Nordin, Dr. Wan, my fellow speakers. I'm going to bring you back to the classroom. But before that, because Dr. Wan said we chill, I let you have a plate of cookies. The idea is we are all baking some form of cookies. Educators, right? So we are holding the cookie cutter. You can either come up with very plain cookies, or you can come up with a plate of very beautiful, inviting cookies. So the title of my talk is Education with a Soul. Not much, I'm not going to talk much about technology, even though that's my field, but we're going to talk about values-based education. And before that, I would like you to just think for a while. We are baking cookies, right? How do you feel when we usher our graduates out into the world? Are you comfortable? Into the future, you feel completely, I'm done and dusted. Will they flourish in the world? Confident ke? No one is nodding, but never mind. Okay. The idea is, it's not something that we sometimes contemplate, but we should reflect. When they are out there, how are they doing? Okay. So in this session, I'm just going to use the 20 minutes to frame what the why, the what, the how, and the who. Basically, we'll spend a little bit more on the how. So that's why we are going to down to the classrooms, basically, and see how we do VBE. All right? So what I'm going to put up here will be basically personal views based on my research study, observation, and experience of 34 years being in the largest university and now helping MQA with the values-based education guidelines, right? So I'm going to show you a lot of pictures as well because it's already almost 4 in the afternoon. We all have this. If you're not familiar with this, we started with values-based long time ago. Milton Rokish actually had a questionnaire and a book on human values. Hawks is a very, distinguished name in VBE. And we've been doing living values education. This was established in 1996, very active in, I think, more than 30 countries. And Singapore as well has done student-centered, values-driven education system. You go to UNESCO website, you got a lot of these things as well, right? So we've been doing this. We are basically ready. Are you familiar with the philosophy on your right? On your left? Anyone? Tak pernah dengar Okay, never mind. I am because we are. That is an African philosophy. So that's why it means community, interconnectors, and humanity. That's why the African proverb goes like what? To educate a child, you need the whole village. Okay, so that's values. And India has actually put in values in their NEP 2020 as well. We had a good start. See, we have our national education philosophy in 1996. 30 years later, after going through all the pandemic and so on, we are now pushing for values-based education starting last year when MQA put it as item in the MQF 2024 framework. Okay, so item 20 actually spell out values-based education is an educational approach that focuses on instilling moral and ethical values in learners and so on. So we should be seeing these guidelines next year. Okay, so if you go, okay, I must confess, I too have my friend co-pilot to help me. Okay, so co-pilot have been doing that, and if you see that, actually all over the world, the different regions are doing some form of values-based education, but the focus is a little bit different. For example, in the Global South, in Africa, they focus on peace building because of the nature of the region and so on. Okay, so the question is, why now? Lecturers are, scrambling, why are we doing this now? It will be a lot of work for the lecturers and so on, right? But we all know that. You know why? Because we have this, and Prof. Marilyn has also shown some of this. For the past month or so, Malaysians have seen, I don't know, all kinds of things. I'm not going to mention some of them, but basically we are facing this anxious generation. Please go and get this book. It's a very good book, actually, and it actually, Jonathan Haidt, that's how we pronounce his name, spell out 4 things. Our adolescent, our children, our undergrads, our postgrad even, we are facing what? Social deprivation, sleep deprivation, attention fragmentation, addiction. So we are looking at what? Cyberbullying, problematic gaming, exposure to extreme ideologies. You know, researchers in King's College actually research adolescent, the Netflix, because Prof. Nurfadhlina talked about Netflix. I too want to speak about Netflix. The movie Adolescent, it is actually very influential, right? And identity struggles as well. Okay, in the university, I'm sure Prof. Rahim facing this as well, because we are now getting what? Journals that has been retracted because the research was not even done. And we have this one is in India, sorry to say. We've got PhD thesis for sale. They got Gerai to sell PhD thesis, right? And AI, Prof. Nurfadhlina talked about AI a lot. AI is actually converging. Imagine AI is not just generative. You are dealing and getting angry with generative AI used by the students. But AI is converging, and it's going to combine perception, reasoning, creativity, and autonomy. AI can do things before you get into the office. So we have to be ready for this. Our students have to be. Our graduates will have to be. But at the same time, we are grappling with issues like this. And these are pictures not AI generated, right? These are pictures from ASEAN countries. We are dealing with environmental issues, with poverty, with inequality. People don't even have a clean place to live. So a lot of SDG issues there. And when we say what's driving, so what's driving this urgency for VBE is, if I may summarize, we've got global crisis, we've got urgent questions to answer, we've got mental health issue, declining well-being, ethical corrosion, technological acceleration, I don't have to say much, you know, and we've got social fragmentation, inequality, and of course, going into the future, you've got to think of how people are going to out into this AI, explosion thing when they go into the workplace and so on. So, with SDGs, we all know SDGs, a group of researchers, I think they are very passionate people, they also develop IDG because they know we don't just talk about SDG outside because we have to have inner development goals. If you have time, just go to the website because they have 5 pillars for inner development: being, thinking, relating, collaborating, and then acting. And if you look at the elements under all the 5 pillars, you see a lot of values. Okay, so why? In a nutshell, we want our students, graduates, to have a strong moral compass. We want them to go out there as skilled professionals and ethical leaders, conscientious citizens, because we need that end. Because we want to have a more just and sustainable world. So we don't talk about ourselves alone. We have to talk about our relationship to nature, to other people, to the Creator. And when we say values now, it's about teaching, not about teaching values, but about living values, and it transcends personal transformation. Okay, so that's the why. Basically, you want your students, that person just now going out, that cookie that you are baking, is for them to be good and to do good. So I love this group as well. I followed them, their summits for a few years. They call themselves AI for Good. And this is from my alma mater, IU Bloomington. They developed Iris, interactive robot for Ikigai support. It's now supporting elderly and senior citizens. They're doing a lot of research on that, right? So maybe in 10 years' time, when I'm old and feeble, I have a small, cute robot assisting me. I call it Irisa lah, maybe. Okay, anyway, then we go to what? I'm not defining VBE. MQA has done that, and there's a lot of definition. But what is it? What is it about value-based? that we want to know, right? Now you have to think that the learner is not just a data point, but it's a soul information. That's important. That's why we talk about values. So when we talk about values-based education, we start very early. But we in higher education, we are looking at the other end, adolescent and graduates. That ladies over there, because they are going to have individual values. They are going to be in society, so they have societal values. They are going to be working. They have organizational values, and they have national values. They are going to belong to some country, and of course, universal value. So, when we say we want to do value-based curriculum, it's not just about what a person, developing someone who is kind, right? It's about someone who understands their obligations to humanity, to know that they can make a difference, to have a compassion, to begin with the local communities where they live, to have multicultural respect, and to have civil commitment and global consciousness, right? And they want to make, and we want them to make lasting public impact. So for that, you need to integrate ethics, you need to bring in sustainability. They all should know the 17 SDGs. You need them to be collaborative, because like Prof. Nurfadhlina said, we cannot be working on our own. Now a lot of things that we have to collaborate. They have to be global citizenship, because they cannot think of their kampong or village only, but also beyond Malaysia. And of course, social justice is a very important element in value-based curriculum. So, in my experience doing the guideline, I found a few things. So, for example, values grow and deepen. The empathy you have will grow into altruism, and you can become a compassionate leader, or even responsibility will grow into accountability and stewardship. That's one thing. It is not static. Number two, while maybe you're not measuring it, but you've been doing it all this while, because when you do collaborative skill, you tell the student, I'm going to measure your collaborative skill, but how do they collaborate? Students collaborate with what? Respect, trust, fairness is already there. When they communicate, what do they communicate? They communicate the truth. They communicate with passion. You see, so it's already there. The idea now is to operationalize. And when we operationalize, we have to think of context. How do you make sure students understand dignity in the context of history versus dignity in the context of the workplace? See, these are all the things that you have to think when you want to develop that pedagogy later for values-based education. And certain competencies, in fact, are a combination of values. You do systems thinking, right? UPM especially, they've done a lot of SDG. They talk about SDG competencies. One of them is system thinking. So when you do system thinking, what do you have? You have empathy, because you have to understand the interconnection between different parts of the system or between the different systems. And you need to have integrity, understand the wholeness of the whole thing, and to respect the complexity between the different subsystems, for example. And when you provide solution or design, there must be equity. So actually, if you dare to define, you can have system thinking as ethical relational capacity to perceive, reflect, and act within complex interdependencies, but guided with values such as empathy, integrity, and so on. You see? So now, most of the lecturers are screaming because they say, how do we do this? How many CLO, how many PLO? You know, Malaysians, they get a little bit agitated with PLO, CAO, PO, whatever, right? Okay? How do you connect intellectual knowledge with internal experiences and value? Actually, we need the best thing to do is to have a whole institution approach. We already have the national thing. Even in higher education blueprint, the coming one is also about values-based. So we need to have the culture, the policy, the framework, the model, the curricular practices, if you can do that. So for example, Prof. Marilyn talked about core values. UM has a core value poise, passion, oneness, integrity, sincerity, empathy. Sorry, oopsie, I did not use yours. UPM, compassion. Sorry, Prof. Nordin. Okay, diversity, sustainability. We also have ASEAN's the one vision, one identity, one community, right? And if you do that, you see all these values there. Is so beautiful actually. And that picture that you see, that graphic, that visual is from University of Ottawa's framework for teaching and learning. So they already have that, where when in teaching and learning, they have to make sure students build relationship, act with purpose, reflect on experience, and engage with the world. Values-based. So with the core values, there are lots of core values and lots of sub-values. So these are some of the examples. We identified some. So what do you want that guy out at the end there to have when he goes into the world? If you ask me, I would say all, but the lecturer will say die. Too many things to include, right? So we may want to align. I'm using my former university. I'm not affiliated to UiTM anymore, but I was there for 34 years. And at the end, I did that model there. Anyway, we have our institutional core values, ESI and IDEC principles. We bring amanah and adab into that framework. It actually is for the academic ecosystem, where the core element is connectedness. So we need to know, we need the lecturers and the students to know that we are connected to other people, to the environment, to the creator, and so on. So with that framework, some campuses actually responded very well. So that was, I think, in 2021 or so, one of the campuses actually had a campaign on Sebarkan Salam, peace greeting. So pretty little girls all over, but it's a good campaign. The idea of values in having, being courteous and friendly and kind to each other. And we built it into a model and into our curricular practice in the form of what we call an ADAPT model. So if you can do that and you can really implement it, I think there's no problem with values-based education in place, right? So what you want to do now is to consciously operationalize values in the program, in the course, in the lesson, in the co-curricular, in the extracurricular. Not by lecturing for sure. We have to have some strategies such as participatory, experiential, immersive, reflective, social learning, and so on. Okay? So when we were discussing for the guidelines, we thought lecturers or educators can actually try infusing values, embedding values, integrating values. So the best way to explain this is when you infuse, you're just watering them, right? When you embed, you plant one tree, right? We're talking about planting values. But when you integrate, you have a whole garden or even a whole forest, all values based, right? So it's a systemic alignment of values. Best thing is if you can have a full course or program that's multidisciplinary, transdisciplinary, with deeper interdisciplinarity. This will make it easier for you to implement VBE. Okay, so these are examples. Let me start with the one at on your most left. You can infuse through dilemmas and scenarios. Just ask them a question like, should we abandon privacy online when you are teaching them policy or teaching them ICT? With that, we can actually track the criminals. So what values are we talking? It's about integrity and respect and many more. You can embed it in a task. Task is actually to develop Canva, to learn and use Canva. But the content is about cyberbullying. So you're bringing in courage and justice when they develop that poster on cyberbullying. Or you can apply it. Application of values in real life is pretty easy. Let's say you ask them to work on what we call wicked problems. I'm sure everybody knows wicked problem. teachers and education of refugee students, for example. So you bring in dignity and you bring in justice. The opportunities to reflect is important. And I've been showing this particular piece over the years because I was really taken aback by what one student said when I asked her about learning. And she said she learned from people who are more susah, unfortunate than me. Like the makcik yang jual keripik depan bank, the lady who sells tidbits in front of the bank, she learned from that person. Okay? And that's empathy and gratitude for you. Okay, Dr. Chong, I think I can see you, right? So you can even embed across weeks and across many activities. We can take a look at this later. For example, this is one of the lessons where we bring in Masako Wakamiya, but actually the idea is to teach publishing. So they publish about Masako, right? So wicked problems. When students do wicked problems mean they don't have, it doesn't have one solution, right? So students do what? Empathy mapping, system mapping, scenario simulation, co-design solutions together, and they do reflective dialogue. So the values that come in will be resilience, altruism, dignity, justice, courage, gratitude, humility. A lot, right? Okay. So of course, you do this, I won't say much. This is value-laden learning activities, right? This is one example of a course where they put in modules such of special care dentistry and Sulam into a bigger course, a larger course. And for this, we actually studied empathy and altruism, and we found that students develop altruism after going through this course. Empathy remains quite the same, but altruism was developed by the student. Okay, and Leicester, my daughter went to this university, so I need to show you this. They have this compassionate holistic diagnostics course where they use the portal. It's very patient-centered. They support it with empathy curriculum stream. You see all the teams? Team 1, Team 2, and students go through this. Rosalind Franklin University has an empathy lab. Students wear that glasses so they can actually, it mimics the effect of eye diseases and so on. You see, this is about empathy, understanding. Okay, so Yale, for example, they have a global health studies program. This is not a bachelor in global health studies. This is a certificate program. Any students can apply to do this. So they have students from medics, students from business doing this. And by studying the global health demands, the intersections of politics, history, economic, disciplines such as anthropology and so on, we are activating empathy, justice, interdisciplinary humility, stewardship, and global solidarity. And for Yale students, they call them scholars, they travel to the United Nations and UNICEF office in New York City, where they learn more about governance. So it fosters health, peace, and humanitarian work. I find it so beautiful. I don't know what you think. Okay, so this is just a potential, my idea. What about what if we have an ASEAN VBE model? This is pretty sensitive topic. Refugee protection studies, for example, where you can have different disciplines. Law, public health, education, economics, and so on. So get them to examine the challenges. And you can even map it, this particular module, to SDG 3, 4, 10, 13, 16, and more. You all know all the SDGs, I'm sure, and the values activated can be altruism, integrity, justice, courage, respect, dignity. I don't have to say more, right? Okay, so who should be doing this? You. Okay, never mind. Bold policymakers, like UPM, they have PLO 12 already. MAP, dominantly to ethics and professionalism. I have to say that lah, because I really respect this part of, this initiative by UPM. And also that at the other end, University of Bari, University of Foggia, they have value-based education for sustainable development. I've seen Curtin University advertise this, but I have not studied the impact. And policymakers can also provide that particular, environment or policies that help with something like this. Students with disability, you can see they have a lot of things that we do. Prof. Nurfadhlina said adaptive. This is adaptive because you consider the barriers to learning, you do reasonable adjustment, you respond with adaptation. Okay, so researchers, you can do a lot because you can study empathy, for example, for this group at Leicester. They are now bringing it to the global front. And you and I'm not teaching anymore. Okay, you are role models. This is a very powerful VBE element, role modeling. If you come late to the class, students are looking at what? Your professional integrity, your motivation. So you need to create this inclusive and compassionate environment as well. So let me share again another a response by my students. I'm going to translate that. I feel the love. It's like one whole family. It is most memorable and meaningful. Honestly, it wasn't easy for me to commit to all the assignments, but looking at the seriousness and the kindness and the friends helping me made me determined to finish the semester. We have actually activated something, resilience, and that will be the personal transformation that we want, right? So when we talk about pedagogies, okay, boleh hafal, tak ada teman-teman. Anyway, we talk about compassionate pedagogy, but that's not the only pedagogy that will actually support VBE, because community as curriculum is a pedagogy. We got Sulam already. Contemplative pedagogy, where students reflect a lot, right? Pedagogy of care, pedagogy of horizons. Have you heard of pedagogy of horizons? This is where you get students to look forward. It's expensive, bukan expensive as in not cheap, expensive, right? And adaptive pedagogy as well. And also pedagogy of hope, because we want our students to have this idea that can do something about this sense of optimism, right? Okay, so, okay, so I think I'm going to end it here. Think about it, right? With what Aristotle said, what we carry in our hearts defines the impact of what we carry in our minds and what we do. So we want that person to go out into the world with something that when he carries in his heart, he's going to do good out there. So when we do education with a soul, we are staying true to our purpose of nurturing that good person to influence how she or he feels, thinks, and acts in a complex world. So all the best to everyone. Thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Prof. Aziah. So the last but not least, Prof. Jinta V. We are all very inspired with all these inspiring talk by our speakers.
สวัสดีค่ะ Selamat petang. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jean. Like what Professor Wan mentioned, that I came a long way from Bangkok yesterday, and I'm so glad that I have chance to spend this 20 minutes lightning talk to share my viewpoint toward the use of technology with heart and smart to wise digital transformation based. Digital formation for adaptive and value-based learning in ASEAN higher education. So, I'm glad that I'm the last one, because you all already hear from the previous speakers about how important of the value-based and also the clear definition of adaptive learnings. So what I'm going to address during this 20 minutes is how we can effectively implement it in our teaching and learning. Because as you see in my profile, and half education and half technology. So I can understand both perspective nicely, that how can we integrate. So first, I would like to point out this. We are, I can see, most of y'all, we have 21st century learners, and they move forward quickly. But somehow we may still in 20th century teachers, right? And we learn from our 19th century teachers. We always, think that, okay, this is perfect, like how professors share that insightful experience with all the learners. But things change. What they expect are different. Another point that I would like to mention is about, like the moving forward of the AI, that I'm sure that everyone afraid that, it's going to replace us. But really, like what Professor Kari mentioned, that AI is not going to replace human, but human with AI will replace the one without AI. So that is, the bottom line of, what happened today. And then, like in addition to the ASEAN framework that, we talking about this afternoon, there also another AI literacy framework from UNESCO that address, like about how, like learners and teachers nowadays should know and should aware of, the use of AI. Not only the awareness, but the uses, evaluates, and last but not least, ethics. Ethics is very, very important. We start to see like many pedagogy have embedded or power with the AI. For example, Bloom taxonomy for AI. We used to, perceive that, okay, the top level of, the ultimate goal of our teaching and learning is, let our learners be able to apply the knowledge and create a project. But nowadays, it's not enough anymore. It's about the design of innovative AI-powered solution. So this is something that I believe is very challenging for all of us, that how can we ensure that our learners have used AI ethically with, that integrity. When we're talking about, the transforming educational experience with adaptive learning, always we hear, like Professor Wan mentioned that, okay, you will hear the same word repeating and repeating. It's all about personalized education, personalized learning. It's all about tailoring content to individualized needs and learning paces. when we talk about the individualized needs, what we see here is about, like these all key terms. Adaptive learning, individual needs, learning style, they be able to self-directed. They have their own lifelong learning goals. For the value-based education, some of the key terms that we always hear is about learning with empathy. You see the human value, you have the ethics, and you have the reflective thinking about what you learn. So one of the example that I would like to share here is about what is we facing nowadays in our teaching and learning is the AI hallucination, right? So when we talking about the ethics, one of the very challenge is the AI hallucination. So what is AI hallucination? AI hallucination is when the artificial intelligence hallucinates or produce the false information. Okay. So let me share you these 8 photos. I'm asking you that you think like which photo is real? Number 1, 2, 3, 4. Which one are fake? All are fake. Okay, you're great. Have you seen my slide before? No? Okay. Yeah, all fake. So, okay, yeah, good. Okay. Then, with this hallucination, they start to have, what we call the digital device bias, ethics, and academic integrity. Always when we, search for the photos, sometimes, not always, and we search for the word like person as social service, we always get, this kind of photos, right? And also it depends on the AI engine that you use. And when you search for the productive person, you always get this kind of, like stereotype of people. Same, housekeeper or the successful businessman, you will get, like this kind of photos. And that really create the stereotype that maybe the new generation of learners, they cannot, like differentiate, or they cannot use their critical thinking, they just think, okay, this is the stereotype that, I perceive. So this is very dangerous, right? So as teachers, what have been changed? So let me use my class as an example. This is one of the activity I use in my undergrad class. Okay, I teach the class called responsive web design. Okay. Before, what I'm doing is that like I just teach them. Okay, there are basically 3 basic theory or concept to use to create a website. I always teach them that way. But once AI emerged, I start to think that yeah, maybe my student use AI and ask, right? Okay, so I just think that by them using outside the class, just bring AI in the class, and I ask them to ask the same question, with ChatGPT or Gemini, same question. Okay, which is the 3, like concept in creating the website or the theory. Okay, so you think like which one better, me or the AI? Yeah, I know. So of course, like I ask my student, and student, as they are very, respect to their teacher as our norms. So they said like, yeah, AI kind of like have similar thing as you teach me. Okay, so because they know that I'm the one who like will provide them the grade, right? But they say like, but AI also point out a couple more theories that very interesting, professor. So, I learn along with them, but the bottom line is you have to have open-minded, by accepting that, like sometime your knowledge will no longer, the only sort of, content in the classroom. So I named this activity as, the battle between AI and me. So, and, I kind of enjoy it. At first, I kind of afraid, like what will happen, but turn out like I think like we all together learn along with the students. Another activity, same class, at the end of the web design class, they will create one project, right? I think like very similar to yours. So at the end of the class, they apply all the knowledge they learn in the class, and then they present as a project. Okay, and then when they present as a project, you the one who comment it, and also their peers, maybe other student comment it. But I think in reality, like everyone use AI to to evaluate the work. So I asked them like before presenting at the class, just ask AI to evaluate the strength and the limitation of your work, and then you use your critical thinking to think like whether you're going to modify according to that comment, or you will keep it like that because you think like that is not worth it to modify it, So by so doing, students start to, like use their critical thinking to think about the comment, whether it's good or, it's not really valid for them. And then they come to the, the class and then give the present to the class. So this is how things change. And I have to admit that I learn along with this as well. Okay, so just want you to think through, like after you hear, like a lot of example from many distinguished speakers today, just apply to your context, apply to your class, which would be the best fit to your class, okay? When I got, like this assignment from Professor Wan, I also go and look, from different use cases in ASEAN country that what kind of digital tools that they have used. And I found that there are, like three core kind of technology that they have used. First, to enhance the personalized learning. Second, for the learning analytics, and third is the the tools to enhance AI-driven learner pathway. So here are some selected research study that I will go through each one. First, this is the study from Indonesia. Many ASEAN countries, when we're talking about the digital tools, always we have implemented along together with pedagogy, which is very good. In this study, this professor created the e-learning innovation along with the problem-based learning. And then they found that the very interesting is the interaction that happened during the online learning. Either it can be interaction among students or interaction student with the system. So this is, like I found this kind of similar study a lot, and I think like this is the strength in the ASEAN country, that we not only just use the tools, but we complement it with the pedagogy. Another study, this is from Philippines. And this is also very interesting that this professor used the adaptive learning management system, similar to, like you heard from the example from previous speakers, that you have applied, like the personalized learning activity and assessment for the students. Which, I also find a lot of these active learning management system related study in ASEAN context. Very interesting. The third one, like when during the past few years when the AI has emerged. Many study looking at, how can we use the generative AI implemented into our teaching and learning. And always there are similar kind of tools, AI tools. Of course, like most of the country, we go with ChatGPT, Qbot, Grammarly, TikTok, Google Gemini, and Claude, and this kind of tools. Certainly. Nap time, maybe. Okay. And then I also find it interesting that, the previous study looking at the generative AI in general, but there are also many studies looking at the generative AI into the specific content or expertise. For example, this study from Vietnam, professor from engineering, faculty of engineering, they're looking of how they can apply, generative AI into their classes. And many examples like this, you will find like how you can use the AI in specific contents, which is very interesting. Also, we find okay, you have to wake up now, end of nap time. Okay, and here is another study from Thailand that looking at the perspective of the using of the generative AI among not only the educator, but they said that they need the multidisciplinary collaboration, because only educator may not look at all aspects of perspective of AI, but you also have to include technologies, ethicists, and politicians as well. Very interesting. So the timer said that I have 5 more minutes. So now I show you some of the very, very effective tools that I found, have applied in many ASEAN studies. What I found they have used a lot lately is Notebook LM. How many of you have experienced the Notebook LM before? Okay. Do you think it's very suit the personalized learning, adaptive learning? Yes, of course, right? So basically, when I first, learned to know about this Notebook LM, because I have a lot of, research articles, or academic articles, and I assign my my learner to learn, and they said like, can I have options? I don't want to just I don't want to just, read, but I want to hear. I prefer the podcast. That is the best way of learning. So I start to put my, PDF file in that, and then they produce the podcast for me. Can I have sound, please? No sound? Okay. So this is, you imagine, this is the podcast, okay? Imagine. Okay. No sound. Okay. So this one I would like to just, to share you quick overview of how Notebook LM can serve the concept of adaptive learning, personalized learning. So basically how it works is you can upload, sources, you can customize, by upload set of contents, similar to when you assign your student to learn. And then, these are, different kind of sources. And then you can have your own custom chat where, all these answers will come from the source that you input there. So it's not like, the generative AI that can, get the answer from any resource. So this is the beauty of, this custom chat. And then on the right-hand side, you have this studio menu where they can produce not only, option for learners. They can learn from audio, they can listen to your podcast. They can learn from the video, mind map, report, flashcards, or quiz. So this is their options, that they generate from the same set of resources. So this very, adaptive learning, and also, ensure that learners have their own personalized option of learning. So this is example of how you can, create the videos from this content. Learner can create and learn from that if they prefer, like they like to learn from the video clips. And then, so this is some of the example. You can choose, the graphic style type. And then you can choose other option. You see right down here, it's generating different kind of resources. This one, they generate the mind map for learners based on those sets of resources. Okay, and then learners who good at, looking at the core concept, and then they have these options. Okay. Okay. So these not really answer the concept of adaptive learning, but if you hear the word multimodality learning before, this is really the answer for that, which, previously is very difficult, to create, different kind of learning resources, personalized for learners. But this really happen, and you will know that, multimodality learning is very effective because learners always have different way of learning. Okay. Another tools worth mentioning that I would like to share with you today is the AI platform they call all-in-one, called EdCafe. You will see there are a lot of options here that you can ask them to create the lesson plan for you, AI speech, flashcard, vocabulary, and everything, and even the YouTube quiz. I believe that many of you have assigned learner to learn by watching YouTube, but you will not be able to know that they really learn or not. This one, they offer the AI question set based on the YouTube that you use in your class. So this is quite nice. So let me quickly demonstrate for you. So these are all the options that you can use. So they claim themselves as all-in-one AI tool for teachers. So same thing that this one, you can put the YouTube video, and then the link, and then the program will generate the question set for you, can be mix of the choices, and the short answer, choose language, and then they generate all the question set for your learners, and then they can finish it. Okay. So what else? Yeah. Okay, and then you can add more question as you design. Okay. In this program, you also can create the chatbot, similar concept with the notebook LM, custom chatbot based on your selected resources, not just any resources. Okay, so here you have this, and then you can share this QR code with your learners, or even embedded in Google Classroom or any LMS platform. And then this one, chatbot, like what I mentioned, custom chatbot. Okay, so they can give all the answer. So yeah, it's here. And then you can upload different kind of knowledge. For example, your course syllabus, because students always ask the same question. Is this class have the final exam? How many points, how many score? How many time I can absent for this class? This kind of thing. So now you can tell them ask my chatbot, and then they can answer everything, because always, you have addresses on that syllabus, but it's just, the way that learners, they not read, but they like to ask. So this is how the chatbot look like, and then your learners can talk with them. Okay? Okay, I have 3 more minutes. Value-based education. What I think that one of the technology tools that can be the key mechanism to help learners to work together, especially in ASEAN country. I think that there is one tool that I think worth mentioning here. When I look at the study related to value-based education, you will see that many teachers apply the game, along with the question that, really enhance, the concept of the value-based education. For example, like this snake and ladder, very classic game, right? So this is what I've seen. And lately, there are such tools during the COVID or even after COVID that, usually we have the metaverse, the virtual learning environment, the twin campus, that I think is very, play the very key or effective role in enhancing, our learners to think more in terms of the value-based education. I just finished this research project with my another colleagues, and we have implemented the metaverse world for learners to be able to increase their English communication. And I think this one can scale up to the ASEAN level beautifully. So this is the example, the output of that project. So we use Spatial.io, Unity, to create this virtual learning environment. And Spatial is free. Unity, you may need some more skill in order to develop that. But yeah, this is how it looks like. So our learners learn through this virtual learning environment. And, because Thai students, always, if we ask them to speak up, they kind of, very shy to speak in English. So this really help them, speak via their avatar. They love to speak up, participate in activities. So I think that if we apply this to the concept of value-based education, where you can have some questions related to the empathy, to understand others through this avatar, I think they will have this immersive experience and really feel it, feel that empathy. So this is one thing that I would like to propose in terms of, the application of, the concept of how technology can enhance with the value-based education. Okay. So I think that would be all for my part. That I just would like to call for the action that technology with the heart, smart to wise, digital formation for adaptive and value-based learning in ASEAN higher education. So thank you very much. Terima kasih.
Thank you very much, Prof. Jintavi. Okay, so before we proceed to the next agenda, can we have our group photo? Yes. Before our TNCA Deputy Vice Chancellor need to leave. Okay. Okay, so for the next next agenda, we are going to divide into 4 groups. 2 groups will be on values-based education. 2 groups will be on the adaptive learning. Now, the values-based education, the groups